Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're finally getting back to work on my 1995 Nissan Silvia. So today we're getting to work on my SR20. And this motor was blown a couple years ago, and I've been using a spare motor in the car, but it's a non-turbo motor, so it has higher compression. It doesn't run quite right under boost. So I want to get the stock turbo motor with lower compression back in there. It's got oil squirters. It's got, some different parts, some more strengthened parts than the non-turbo motor has. So I want to get that thing back in there, but I keep blowing it, and I haven't figured out why. I have a few hunches that I'll go over later as I'm disassembling the motor. But the goal right now is to get the motor disassembled to the point where I can bring the short block to machine shop and just kind of say, here's my motor, keeps blowing, do what you need to do to get it working. So whether that means, hot tanking it, cleaning out all the oil passages, decking the block, anything that could possibly cause this thing to keep going through bearings. I want them to look after, I want them to disassemble, replace everything, measure everything, and order the right parts, reassemble everything, and then I want to get the motor back as a short block, so all I have to do is put the oil pans on and put the cylinder head on, throw it back in the car. So the plan today is to put this motor on the engine stand because it's just been sitting on that tire for way too long. Now we're going to take the two lower oil pans off, and then we're going to take the cylinder head off, some of the front components like timing chain and all that. That's going to be the goal, and then we're going to get this thing sent to the machine shop, and we'll take it from there. So I was just about to put this motor on the engine stand and realized, well, of course I can't lift an entire motor onto an engine stand by myself. I don't have the engine hoist here right now. It's at Matt's place. So yeah, that's not going to happen. So what I'm going to try to do is take the cylinder head off with it on the ground here, and then hopefully it's light enough that I can lift it onto the engine stand. Anyways, we're gonna get to the cylinder head right now. So the valve cover is already off, and that is because I have been storing it like that for a while. So pretty much what I gotta do now is remove the cams, and then I can take the cylinder head bolts out. It's pretty much that simple. Once I got that off, I'm going to try to get onto the engine stand. So let's get this cylinder head off. All right, guys, we got the cams out, as you can see. So now we got to get all the head bolts out, and the head should lift right off. So I got the cylinder head off, as you can tell. Now the engine should be a lot lighter, and I should be able to put it on the stand. Not sure if I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to give it a try. Okay, now we got the engine on the stand, and it is rotated the correct way up so that I can see the oil pans. Got the metal lower oil pan, and you got your aluminum upper oil pan. Got to get those guys off, and that then I will be able to do the front timing cover, water pump, oil pump. Well, the oil pump is the front timing cover. All those goodies, and that is pretty much the rest of it. Got a few little things like some little bolts and this dipstick, a few other things like that. And then it's gonna go to the machine shop. So let's get the oil pans off right now. Finger in the pie. What a good song title. So now it comes time to separate the upper oil pan from the block. And this is always a struggle for me, so I don't know if you guys have any tips on what I should do, but normally I just take my putty scraper and I just kind of shove it in here and try to separate it all the way through, kind of break the sealant. And then I just kind of lift it up straight. I know there's two studs on this side that I have to lift straight past, and then I can wiggle. But yeah, if you have any better ideas, please let me know. You can put a comment below or hashtag me or however internet works. So yeah, let's try to get this off. Okay. Will you nay come back again? Will you nay come back again? Oops, sorry about that. So I thought I remembered seeing something in an old Moto IQ article. If you haven't checked out Moto IQ, go to motoiq.com and check them out because they have some really good tips and some cool projects, a lot of SR20 stuff. And I recalled seeing something on there, so I checked out the article again, and I was right. It's a cool tip on how to remove the upper oil pan. So there's actually two threaded holes here. So if you go and take the right size bolts, apparently the transmission bolts will work. The transmission to engine block bolts. This will apparently lift the block off, so I'm gonna go give it a try. I found two bolts. Oh, I can hear it lifting. Yeah, I got a bit of a gap, and so now I should be able to take a putty knife, slide in there a little easier. I'm going to give it a bit more. Oh yeah, now she popped. Let's do this one a bit more. Yeah, she's lifting up. You can see a gap, so before I go too far, I'll take my putty knife. Kind of break the seal a bit. There we go. Oh, that is a good technique. Break that, yes. Yeah, that's already broken. Come in here. There we go, guys. Just like that. This should lift right off. Oh, that is one of my favorite things that I've ever learned. Perfect. All right, as you can tell, we have both oil pans off. The oil pickup and the oil baffle is now off too. So we're gonna take a closer look at this thing. And you might be able to tell from the video, maybe not, but this is still really clean. So I had this at the machine shop right before I blew it. And you know, I had just broken the motor in, and you know, maybe 100 kilometers after that is when I actually blew it. So it's a bummer, but I mean, that's just kind of how it works. Yeah, so now the plan is to kind of assess the damage. Regardless, I'm giving this thing a full makeover. I'm doing the all the bearings again, and gonna give it a good cleaning. I'll bring it to the machine shop, and we'll see if they can find anything that could be an issue, or I'll just get them to make sure everything is still in spec, that everything's balanced. And then I'll have to replace all the bearings. So what I'm most curious about is what bearings failed and how bad they failed. So if I compare this against the last time this motor blew, I'll be able to maybe see, you know, if there's like certain cylinders that are having this specific issue, and I might be able to focus down and say, hey, this one's the one that's always blowing. Maybe there's something wrong in one of the oil passages, or something else going on there. So that will be the next step. First, I have to get the front cover off. So the water pump and the front cover, which is also the oil pump, those will have to come off, and then timing chain and everything will come out. And then I will have full access to the block. I'll also have to do a few things like the coolant neck, the oil filter adapter, whatever you're gonna call that. And then on this side, I'm curious if there's anything else. Pretty much the dipstick, and you know, that might be it. So yeah, I guess that'll be next, is getting the rest of the accessories off so that we can get this thing fully stripped. Taking this off, I can tell it still looks pretty good. I mean, this only has about 1,000 kilometers because I replaced this oil pump when I did the other rebuild as well. So it still spins freely. I don't believe that is the cause of the failure. That was the cause of the original failure, but now I don't believe that's the case. So now that we got the oil pump, water pump, and timing chain components off, it's time to work on the side components. So we've got the oil filter housing, and then we've got the thermostat housing. So we're just gonna rip those off quickly with some special tool. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, and it just comes off like that. Easy peasy lemon artichoke. Now that is actually sealed on, so we'll take a little bit of a jab. Okay, we got all the major components off now, and what's left is a few things like the ARP head studs, and then there's things like some bolts that I've left in for like the alternator bracket and the motor mount. There's a few other things like up front here. Very important thing to not forget on an SR20. Sorry about the bad lighting, but this oil pump gasket right here. So that's got to come off, and it definitely has to go back on when I put the motor back in. And then we also got the dipstick tube here, and you know, this, I think this is my it's the oil supply, I think, for the turbo. That bolt's sitting in there because I use a different system on the NA motor that's in there now. I use an adapter that adapts for the oil pressure sensor on the oil filter housing side. I just use an adapter there to tee off instead of drilling a hole into the block. So yeah, once that's done, I think the block is pretty much all stripped. You can see I got the key and the drive gear off the cam. Sorry, the crank. What else do I need to do? Looking underneath, I think that's all. So I'm just gonna take all these little accessories off now. Well, those came out a lot easier than I was expecting. The one had a little bit of resistance, but the rest did not. And so I don't know if I did something wrong when I torqued them originally when I put them in, but I went according to all the ARP instructions. So I'm gonna have to definitely double check those instructions the next time I install these. So yeah, the rest I'm just gonna kind of take off. It's just really unscrewing bolts and then organizing them, making sure I don't lose them. So I'm gonna get this dipstick tube off next, which I don't think is going to be very interesting. I've had it out before, so it should come out pretty easily, yeah. Just these needle nose, literally like that. So yeah, that's pretty much going to end the video here. We got some good progress done on the SR20. She's fully stripped, just got a few things to take out and clean up, like some bolts and things. And then it's off to the machine shop, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet. I need to call around to the machine shop and figure out what's going to be the best for me and them. So I don't know if I take the rotating assembly apart and then give them the block to check over, or if I let them do everything. I need to sort that out with them first. But for now, we're at least ready to take that step. The block is ready. So we're going to end this video here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe leave a comment, consider subscribing if you haven't already. And also, if you like, you can check out our new store that we just launched. We got some stickers on there now with some custom original designs and lots of color options and things like that. So if you're interested and you want to support us, so every single penny spent at the store goes to supporting builds like the Sylvia, like Frankenstein Civic that Matt's working on, like the Furious Civic, and all the other cars that we like to build and race. So thanks for checking out this video, and we'll get another video out shortly showing you the progress on this motor and hopefully get in the car soon.